Is the third and final long-range capital planning workshop meeting. Today we will focus on public works project. I'm going to provide a brief introduction and then I'll turn it over to Tim Barber, our Director of Public Works here. What's that? Oh, yes it is. So as I've done with all of the presentations, I just want to provide some background on what long-range capital planning is. And so it really is the town looking forward into the future, planning for some large projects over the next 15, 20, 30, 40 years. What this does is allows us to look at the costs, potentially save funds, and really better plan for the future. Because these are such large projects, most of these will be done through borrowing at some point in time. We've identified a number of projects. As I mentioned, this is the third workshop meeting. The first focused on community service projects, the second focused on schools, and the third here on public works. So again, allows us to be prepared. We can strategically plan these large projects that the town will need to pursue. Potential cost savings as we are more prepared and can plan for the future. And again, improve service. At the end of the day, our main priority is providing high quality services to our community at an effective cost. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Mr. Barber for an introduction and overview.
Just want to just hit arrows.
Yeah.
All right. Good evening, and thank you for coming. So Tim Barber, Director of Public Works. Presenting on long-range capital planning. So the topics and projects led by the town to design, build, maintain, improve essential public infrastructure and facilities that serve the public and the community. Public works projects are identified through a combination of community needs, infrastructure, assessments, and strategic planning. And then long-range capital planning has identified three public works. We say projects, but it's you know, it's larger than projects. It's basically like three divisions. So our drinking water system, we currently serve 10,500 residential and 150 commercial customers with 14 supply wells in 3 different locations in town with 3 treatment facilities. 5 storage tanks that hold a total of 6.3 million gallons, 200 miles of water mains, 1,662 fire hydrants, and we have an interconnection with the city of New Bedford for a supplemental supply. Little history of the water system. Back in 1949, we were solely supplied by the city of New Bedford water system. And the average daily demand was 0.7 million gallons per day. In 1960, with a population of 14,607, the average demand was 0.9 million gallons per day. We had installed 2 new well fields, and we were, at that time, we were only using about 14% of the New Bedford water. 1976, as the population increased to 21,586, our average demand grew to 1.8 million gallons per day, added new wells, and we're operating using about 35% of the city of New Bedford water. In 1981, the population was 24,800. Average demand grew to about 2.1 million gallons per day. Added new wells, and we're still using about 44% of water from the city of New Bedford. 1999, population was 28,158. Average daily demand was 3.1 million gallons per day. We brought online a new treatment facility, and we were using about 31% of water from the city. Jump up to 2008, population increased to about 34,319. Average daily demand was 2.8 million gallons per day. Added 3 new wells online, and we're only purchasing about 8% of our water from the city of New Bedford. 2024 population hasn't changed much. It's 34,139. Average daily demand dropped a little to 2.6 million gallons per day, and we use about 30% of our water from the city of New Bedford. Some of our drinking water challenges is as we provide safe and affordable drinking water to our customers and residents, staying up with the tightening state and federal regulations that are ever emerging for contaminants like lead and copper, PFAS, total trihalomethanes, and haloacidic acids. Maintaining aging infrastructure, increasing costs, upgrades and repairs, leaks, water main breaks, replacing old pumps, limited well fields, climate change and extreme weather, whether it's dry weather and drought conditions or intense rain that can, infill into the wells and contaminate. Large developments, housing developments, urbanization, and the population projected for 2040 is estimated at 41,000. Here we have on the bottom left, we have a picture of one of our storage tanks where we have paint peeling, and one of our projects looking forward is to rehab that tank and paint it and maintain it. The cost has increased throughout the years, so it's about 1.5 million to paint a tank, or to maintain the tank with a contract over about 15 years. It's about 3.1 million. On the right, we have an old pump that needs a rebuild or replacement, and don't get scared. That's raw water coming out of the ground with a lot of iron and manganese. So that hydrant's in around one of our well fields. So that water gets filtered and then treated to get that coloration out. And that's also one of our challenges. Additional challenges are staffing, professional licensing. It's hard in any of these industries to find licensed staff or staff that want to be responsible and get their licensing. So some project costs. So our water quality and resiliency upgrades at our treatment facilities in town are estimated to be about 16 million. We have this kind of stretched out in our 10-year capital plan. But that's what we're looking at for upgrading our treatment facilities for water quality and resiliency projects. Water main replacement. So as our older mains, keep increasing in age, we have a number of cast iron mains. We have a number of transite mains, and then ductile. We'll have to start replacing some of the older mains. The cost is anywhere from $200 to $500 per foot. We're looking at replacing a water main on Route 6 for the Route 6 from Fonts Corner Road to Hathaway Road reconstruction project. Just that section of main is estimated around 1.2 million to replace. And then there's our storage tank over here on the right, where we got 1.4 to 3 million. Up here in the middle is one of our projects that was funded by ARPA. It's our 579 Old Westport Road water treatment facility upgrade. We're upgrading the clear wells, 4 log, and some pumping, piping. We had put an addition on the building. The cost of that project was just over 2.5 million, fully funded by ARPA. So we really appreciated that funding that came from Bristol County to to fund this project to get us moving on our quality upgrades and our resiliency. So this project will allow us to reoperate a couple of our wells located at the Pinelli well site that are currently off due to a intense rainfall that contaminated two of our wells back in 2020. So most costs since we're an enterprise fund for water, they're paid for by the ratepayers, right? So, the only other way to fund a lot of these projects is either by grant opportunities, state revolving fund, or conventional borrowing. So, onto our wastewater facilities. So on the left, we have our kind of a flow diagram of our wastewater treatment facility, where it comes from the collection system into pump stations, through our grit and screening chambers, into clarifiers, separates it into effluent and sludge, and we aerate and continue to treat with ultraviolet until we discharge back out to the bay, and then the sludge goes through its dehydration or dewatering process into the composting facility, where we heat it to high temperatures to treat, and then mix it with all of our brush and chippings and wood chips, and then ship it out. So our little history on our treatment facility: 1970, the original facility was completed. At that time, the population was about 18,691. In 1981, our collection system had increased to about 62 miles of sewer collection and serving about 4,400 residents, with 4 lift stations and a planning of an expansion, and the population was then 24,800. In 1990, with a population of 27,269, the upgraded facility was designed to process an annual daily flow of 4.2 million gallons per day, with a peak hourly flow of 10.3 million gallons per day. That was back in 1990. So here in 2024, the population, 34,139, still operating under the 4.2 million gallon per day capacity, with 101 miles of sewer collection, 22 pump stations, and a treatment facility that's aged out well beyond its 30-year lifespan. Some of our challenges here at the wastewater facility is system capacity, as we have urbanized development, growing population, and increasing demand. Structural deterioration, as our old aging buildings and materials corrode. Here's a picture on the right of our composting facility, which is very corrosive. So, even the structure and all the piping needs to be rebuilt and replaced. We have aging and failing equipment, high energy consumption, as our electrical costs climb through the roof. It costs us a lot more to process through the entire treatment process, ultraviolet, the high heat that's needed in the compost facility, and running all the pumps, and all the variable speed drives. Stricter environmental regulations, ever-emerging contaminants, nutrient removal limits, non-conforming development flows, and large development projects. So here we are at a facility design process. We're working on our comprehensive wastewater management plan, evaluate the existing conditions, the capacity and conditions, and other sources of wastewater treatment. Estimate future needs, residential, commercial, industrial, and emerging treatment requirements. The preliminary design, 25%, alternatives with rough cost estimates, and identified any preferred alternates. Design preferred alternates, 75% design. Permitting process, and identify financing at that point. And the final design, 100% with a bid package, funding agreements, and then we move to construction. Where are we now? We're currently at the comprehensive wastewater management plan. We have put together an RFP or an RFQ so we can send out and get qualifications and proposals from consultants to complete the updated comprehensive wastewater management plan. Project costs. So, rehabilitation or replacement of a wastewater treatment facility is estimated around $50 million. So 50 million plus. So if we look at how do you estimate that cost? The industry standard, and this is a couple years old, was $12 per gallon per day of sewer that we treat. So at that, it's approximately 50 million. That's a couple years old, and there are other aspects that go into the reconstruction. So if we're looking at increasing the permitted flow or the capacity of the plant from 4.2 or to either 6 or 8 million gallons per day, you multiply that times 12 and the cost increases. Current repairs that are needed: aeration system upgrades, estimated cost $6 million. Grit and screening facility upgrades, estimated cost around $225,000. Compost facility reconstruction, about $2.5 million. And four pump station upgrades or replacement, which comes out to about $1.5 million per station. We recently submitted a bid or a request for bids for 2 pump station replacements, and the bid came in at over $3 million. So, and that project is to provide capacity for housing for a 40B housing project. So just to increase that capacity at those stations is at about $3 million. Funding opportunities for wastewater. We have the sewer rates, so through the enterprise fund. Grant opportunities, state revolving fund at low interest. And through OPER, we did fund $2.2 million worth of projects at the wastewater facility. Any questions on wastewater? Okay. Our Payne Bridge. So a little history on the Payne Bridge. In 1828, the Dartmouth Bridge Company was established, and they put together a design and built the Payne Bridge between 1834 and 1835. Then in 1870, the town of Dartmouth purchased the bridge from the bridge company for $5,000. Seemed reasonable. 1901, construction of some stone piers and railing upgrades on the bridge. In 1920, there was a reconstruction of the drawbridge funded by the town. It was approved with $22,500. In 1936, they constructed the new center pier and draw. And through 1938 and 1954, there were damages sustained through multiple hurricanes, which closed the bridge for amount of time. In 1955, the bridge opened back up after the repairs were completed. And then in 1968, Payne Bridge reconstruction plans were drawn up, and there were further upgrades on stone piers and railings. So up on the left here, so we don't know the date of that picture, so it's got to be somewhere between 34 and 70, or even maybe close to 1901 even. The bottom picture was in 1936 when the new center pier was built with the new deck in the draw. In 1996, we had the bridge rehabilitation project, which was 1.3 million. Causeway rehabilitation in 2018, that project was bid for 8.3 million, but it went over budget. 2018 bridge repairs were 1.2 million, where we rebuilt and mortared a lot of the center pier, and they did a lot of concrete work. In 2025, we are planning a expansion joint project that was partially funded through an ARPA earmark, and that cost is about $300,000 for that work. And we're still around pre 25% with the rehabilitation or replacement design that MassDOT has contracted with the contractor Majewski and Masters to do the design. So we haven't seen much in updates for that, either for the direction, if they're going to go with a rehabilitation, replacement, or any estimates and costs. So some challenges with the bridge: high maintenance costs, corrosive environment, frequent breakdowns, a lot of emergency repairs, heat expansion issues, mechanical failures and electrical failures all go hand in hand when we have expansion with the bridge, and it expands too far, and when we try to operate the bridge, a lot of times it expands far enough that it rubs on the sides as it spins. When you put that, you force it with the jacks either blow an electrical circuit, or the jacks fail, or the motors fail. So a lot of times when you see the bridge stuck, that's a problem. Up top left is some deck repairs on the bridge. Bottom left is temperature control. So our guys are out there with water trucks hosing the deck down, trying to keep the temperatures down as much as we can to keep the bridge from expanding, so we can operate in hot weather. Sometimes it works. Sometimes if we have really radiant sun and high temperatures, we can't keep up. Top right is a picture of the center pier. And if you can really look, you see there are two jacks with the motors, you can see from this side. And that's usually what we see fail. And then at the bottom is a zoomed in picture of one of the bridge jacks. And if you compare this to the picture from 1936, you can see that the old deck was a lot lower. So the bridge pier is the same, a center pier, but there's a raised section with the updated mechanicals in the updated deck. So back in 2020, replacement costs were estimated at $20 million for the bridge. And I'm sure it's inflated since then. In 2022, the bond bill was earmarked and awarded for $2 million towards the design of the bridge, which gave Mass DOT the go-ahead to move forward with the design. It includes either the repair, rehabilitation, or replacement, and funding could include the federal aid through Bridge Investment Program. It's called the BIP. It's always a possibility, or municipal borrowing. So once we get to a higher percentage of design, somewhere in the 75% range, they'll start looking at funding possibilities. There's also, you can reach out to our state reps and representatives and Senate to request additional earmarks for the construction of the bridge. Some other payment options, debt exclusion, grants and funding. We don't have a timeline, unfortunately, on the bridge. We're at their mercy, so anytime we do get updates, we'll share them.
Very good. Thanks, Tim. That was great. So I just want to mention, the focus tonight is capital expenditures. And so we recognize there may be some concerns regarding operating budgets and operational concerns. And we have a team that is devoted to doing that. We've put together a budget advisory group, which consists of 2 members of the school committee, 2 members of the select board, 2 members of the finance committee. We have our Board of Public Works taking a very active role, our select board, and our finance committee. But the goal of this really is the long-range planning, which Tim has highlighted several of those projects here tonight regarding our public works. Some of them which could fall under the general fund, some of them fall under our enterprise funds. So with that, we will open it up to any questions from the audience, for whether it's for myself or Tim or anyone else here tonight. Yes.
Are there any ARPA funds available? Are they distributed on a schedule? Do you apply once a year? Could you explain that to me, how you go about processing those?
So the APA funds they're done. They required submittals by December, actually by August 2024, and they needed to be awarded by December of 2024. And any of those projects that were funded need to be completed by December of 2026. So there's no more ARPA funding, but we did use as much as we could, as much as we got for a number of projects, which we're thankful for.
Bill Chandler, town meeting member, Precinct 1, which is the home of Dartmouth's last frontier. We were the home of Copacat Lodge, Colebrook Pines, and other various things. I represent part of a small group that originally was appointed by the select board to work on the Cornell Pond Dam. And we've expanded that operation now, so we're looking at not only the Cornell Pond, but also the future for the Resolve site. And by the way, there will be a site tour and open house on Wednesday, October 22nd, from 4 to 6 p.m. at the site, 1275 North Hicks Hill Road. And we're also looking at the minimum discharge that we're supposed to be getting from the Copacat Reservoir. My understanding is the minimum of 100 cubic feet per second out of the spillway, emergency spillway, or they'll open a lower gate. I don't know if we have got any figures for them, but we're trying to work with Mike up there to get that. But eventually, based upon the work that Chris Mirshaw did on monitoring for septic systems, we're hoping to make the Copacat watershed a model for the rest of the town to use. And I thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chandler.
Hi, Tom Young from Precinct 1. Can I do a little talking about fresh water? It won't take long, I don't think. We got a problem with fresh water. We got 2 cities on each side of us taking the water. One is City of Fall River. years ago, they made some sort of a deal with our town fathers or something. They store the water in Dartmouth and they use the water. They pump it to Fall River. On the other side of it, we got New Bedford. New Bedford's got a reservoir in Dartmouth. We run out of water because of a drought. It's sitting in Dartmouth. New Bedford pumps it back to Dartmouth and they charge us millions of dollars. What is going on? Dartmouth has got more fresh water than any town and city around this whole area. But Dartmouth was Westport. Dartmouth was New Bedford. Acushnet. It was a large, large area. And we had so much water, we didn't know what to do with it. But the cities knew what to do with it, and they grabbed it, and they got it. I say, Dartmouth's turn, make a reservoir, our own reservoir, in the middle of both of them, right dead center in Dartmouth, up north, where the Copicut area is. By the way, if anybody wants to know what Copicut means, the Indians named it Deep Woods. And believe me, it's deep woods. I spent a lot of time up there. There's water that springs out of the ground. That's where it comes from. And where does it go? Copicut River goes to Fall River. Copicut Reservoir. It's sitting there. Fall River controls it all. And they're supposed to let us have so much water. The dam's sitting in Dartmouth. And then it comes down. It goes to Cornell Pond. Then it goes into 3 more rivers, and it comes down. And where does it go? Nokachoke. Then from there, it's the Westport River. So all the nice river, all the nice waters in Dartmouth. Ain't that a shame what's going on with it? We don't have the control over it. So I talked to a few people that know a lot about water. The old man behind me over here, another gentleman over there that's been to California and back. You on the mic there, young fella, you know a lot about it. And if we're thinking about increasing something, getting better something, we got to do something with it. So directly in the middle, there's an area, I have a lot of land up there. I owned over 200 acres. I donated 40 acres to the town. It's a swamp, Flag Swamp Road. Everybody knew what the heck it was back then. Swamp holds the water. It's like a sponge in your house, same thing. And across the street from me, cranberry bogs. There was cranberry bogs in there for years. That holds the water. Guess what? They don't play around with it no more, because outside people came in from different places, bought it, trying to make money. They were going to put solar panels up, and the town says no, so they didn't do it. So they sold it, and now who's got a hold of it? DNRT. I think they're in the real estate business. They own a lot of land around here. And what do they do with it? They let people walk all over it. That ain't what I'm thinking about. That is a reservoir area. And by the way, about a half a mile up the hill from talking about that possible reservoir, there's our pumping station. We have one, and New Bedford has one, right on Ford's Corner Road. That's the reservoir. So when we need water, they say to us, hey, turn your pump on. It's our pump. It's our station, sitting right next to their reservoir in Dartmouth. Well, let's put our own reservoir in there. And we can tell them if they want some, we'll sell them some. So it's a good area to be. Now, I come originally from Rhode Island, and one of the best water systems in Rhode Island is Providence. And it comes from Situate. And it's a huge, huge, thousands of acres. And they take care of that water by aeration. They blow it up in the air. About 50 feet up in the air. Guess what happens? Mother Nature knows how to take care of water. Rain, sun, thunders. So what are we doing in Dartmouth? We pump water out of the ground when we need it. And when we run shy, what happens? The pumps run out. Now we got to go get it from Dartmouth. But if we store it, let Mother Nature, when she comes along and starts thunder and lightning, there's a lot of damn water around, I'll tell you. Why don't we store it above ground, take care of it, do whatever you have to do to make it perfect water that everybody drink, and it might be a big plus. These are days down the road. I don't know what the best thing other than that I can tell you. But another thing I don't particularly understand is the population when they do something around in the town. They say how many people were here, and oh, the treatment plant was great. It was that particular time. Here comes the state. What's the state do? Put a college here. How many people you think is going to use the bathrooms over there? All your students, all your people who work there, thousands of more people. Then what happens? Here comes the jail. How many people up there? That's not in the population I see on that board. You're going to have 4, 5, 6,000 more people. They go to the bathroom every day, drink and go to the bathroom. So it ain't handled properly. I think somebody's got to. It's a hell of a good thing you're doing with this extended, whatever you're trying to promote. If you wait too long, we're only going to get worse. Look at all the medical building up on Fons Corner Road. They're arguing about putting signs out near the road and everything. Meetings after meetings after meetings, select board everywhere. Somebody wants to put a sign up for business. What the hell? The hell with that. Take care of our water. That's the number one thing. Old saying, you might not like it. Goes in here, comes out the other end, pal. So let's take care of what we eat and drink. And we have it. We don't have to buy it from nobody. We got what we want. Store it. Do it right. I don't know if you have anything else you want me to tell you, but I know the area very well on this property. And I try to keep telling people. Beautiful watered area in Dartmouth is Peyton Aaron. Beautiful. Talking about the bridge, you're talking about millions of dollars down there. Don't drink the water, you'll die. Drink the water that belongs to you so you can survive. And that's how things were built years ago. Villages were built next to water and wood. Wood was a shelter for you. And water was power. Ice, when they had ice boxes. We still have it. Why do we have to let everybody else take it and sell it back to us? Is there anybody here that can add or say, no, I'm crazy or something? I'd like to hear it right now. If anybody wants to talk to me, tell me I'm nuts. If not, tell me I got a good idea. And if that's the idea, who's going to sell this thing? Go to the town. Maybe our new man here, Cody. He's come back. He looks like a good guy. Why don't you bring an article up so we can discuss this, have meetings about it before we lose it? Because we're losing it. What is the city? Now I hear another thing. This I don't particularly care for. You want to make a deal with the city of Fall River. So if New Bedford's selling enough water to us for too much money, hey, let's go to Fall River and get the goddamn water. It's cheaper. Guess what? Both waters in Dartmouth. They're selling us our water. So they want to hook up. Ain't you guys got a meeting now? You're going to hook up to the main water on Route 6 from Westport to Dartmouth? Well, that water comes from Fall River, right there, Nookachok, Kobe. Why should we do this? I don't understand it. So maybe I'm saying too much, but I'm giving you all the knowledge I know. And if you want more information, I got a lot of information, believe you me. But there's a possibility now of 80 acres up there, wide open, to have our reservoir. 80 acres. You fill it up 10 feet. How much water you got up there? You can have water for a long damn time. And then take care of it when you have to. And one last thing I'm going to say, the highest pot in Dartmouth that I know of is where the reservoir is. On Fons Corner Road and Flag Swamp Road, that's the highest pot in Dartmouth. Right down the bottom of the hill, Flag Swamp, there's your reservoir. Pump it up there. It'll all come down here. What the hell do you need pumps for? Keep it up in the air. Don't start no pumps up. Open the valve, let it go. But we need guys like you or all the other guys that are retired here from the water department. Take care of the water. But at least we got the water. So I say, let's do something with the water. Thank you for hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Yenner. Anybody else?
Every year we hear a lot about the impact like a 40B will have on the town. Is there a time frame where we will run out of capacity for treating our sewage?
There is, and it's unknown at this time. As we continue to evaluate the capacities and the flows, and these developments are coming in, we're further evaluating what their flows, how they impact our collection systems and our treatment facility. It's, we're getting near to that, close to that 80% capacity at the wastewater treatment facility. So eventually, either we have to say no, or the state's going to step in and say, you're going to have to spend the money now. And if we say no to a 40B development, they can appeal to the state, and then they can basically step over us and require or allow them to build. So it's a difficult position.
So if the state came and said you have to rebuild your processing plant to accommodate the 40B, would they put a time frame on you where you had to build that facility in like X amount of years, 3 years?
They probably would, yes. Yep. And at that point, they could also invoke a moratorium on all connections. So including, existing services that people have paid betterment assessments for.
Hi, Nathan Silva. I know there was recently a rate study that was done. Did the most current rate modifications take into account any of the capital projects that we've heard today?
Yes, so we proposed a 10-year capital plan, and all those capital expenses, even $50 million for the wastewater treatment facility was taken into account for the rate study.
So based on the rates that we have today, it's already accounting for a $50 million wastewater treatment plant?
Yeah, so we have a projected rate increase or, projected rates for the next at least 5 years, from 5 to 10 years. So that's, that this year's rate increase was the first step or the second step, into. So we will continue, and we're also looking at another rate study for FY27 to reevaluate the revenues and expenditures, our retained earnings that we try to keep at least at minimum 15% and higher for large projects like the facility upgrade.
Sounds good. And I just want to make one more comment. I'm still relatively new to following things that are happening in town, but one thing that I've noticed is that in years past, we haven't had this focus on long-range planning. So I just want to commend the long-range planning committee for taking that leadership role and looking deep into the future, because I think that's something that we've been lacking as a community, and I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Historically, we looked at 5-year planning, and then it increased recently to 10-year planning, and then with the addition of long-term planning, I think it's great. So we can look at future projects and estimate those projects out to long-term, whether it's 20, 30 years.
Thank you, Janine Simmons. First of all, thank you very much for the presentation. We had a meeting earlier this afternoon of the Finance Committee, and we discussed how important it was for the town to be educated on some of these expenses that are coming in the long-term project, so thank you, good job. You just mentioned that you had a projected rate study going out 5 to 10 years. Is any of this information public?
So we have the final report of the rate study was presented at several meetings, but we do have all the data from it. So if you need to look at any, if you'd like any of the data, I can send that to you. Anybody else? Well, thank you.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. This is just the beginning of these discussions. As you've heard, the town is really just starting this process, but a lot of these expenditures and capital needs are coming up in the near future. So this is just the beginning of that, and we look forward to your continued interest. I believe Mr. Tattlebaum, did you have a question? Something?
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Great job. I just want to make a comment that we have a lot of people here representing different parts of the town and committees. Thanks for coming. And the critical, even Jim's here from the school department as well, has been a major part of the long-range planning. It's been a long journey, and it's kind of, in one sense, it can be scary, but in the other sense, it's the way to plan into the future. And with the more questions, more data we get, the more questions we have. And I'd certainly like to have Tom get more answers on his, I know he's knocking on the door in his philosophy of North Dartmouth water, and hope we can get some answers on that either way. This process is the more we open it, the more questions we have, and the more questions we have to answer. Every department, from the DPW to planning, across the board, zoning, it's going to affect how we increase our projects, developments, the 40Bs that we may have to face. It's all going to into package of how we plan a long-range plan. It's going to be a team effort, and that's why we're here. And Nate, thanks you for that comment, because this is all about a team, everybody contributing so we can get the answers, so we can keep this thing rolling in the next 20 to 30 year period. So thank you for your interest and really good questions.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Titlebaum. Yeah.
Excuse me, before you, Mr. Yen, I just wanted to answer a couple of your questions and comments, because your comments don't go unnoticed. We do continue to look for additional, explore for additional water in town, and your questions have been asked to some of our consultants as well. And as far as purchasing water back from the city, from Dartmouth, the town's had agreements with the city for that repurchase of water for many years. So, it may be time to relook at that and renegotiate, but that's all we have for right now.
Okay, thank you, Tom, again. One last thing I'd like to tell you. I've been associated here a long, long time. The school is a hell of a part of Dartmouth, believe me. But don't forget, the people that do the majority of the work, Barbara, he's standing there, DPW, they're on the streets, the woods, everywhere, all day long. I don't know if they get appreciated like they should be. When it snows, when everything happens, those are the people, and they're there. So I want to give them a damn good thanks of running this town. I hope some of the people in which we need, town hall and that, are fathers and female now. They're not just all fathers. They're mothers too, huh? So there's change in different things. But don't forget the DPW. They do an awful lot here. Thank you.
Thank you. Well appreciated.
Very good. Lots of good information here tonight. So as I mentioned, this is the last of the workshops. So our next steps really are the long-range capital planning committee is going to reconvene over the next couple of months, digest all of this information that we've gotten from these public workshops, and you can look forward to a presentation to the select board sometime in early winter with their recommendations and where we move forward from here. And at that point, we'll probably go through this process again and make sure our community is aware of this. So we thank you and have a good night.